The first sign that something was terribly wrong came not from a scream, not from a witness, not from a crime scene, but from a quiet, respectable man in uniform, smiling politely in official photographs. A man trusted with national security. A man invited into the homes of Canada's highest-ranking officials. A man who, at first glance, embodied discipline, honor, and control. And yet, behind closed doors, a darkness was already taking shape, long before investigators would walk through violated homes, long before grieving families would sit across from detectives, long before an entire nation would ask, "How did we not see this?" There was Russell Williams, born in England in 1963. Williams moved to Canada as a young man, eventually joined the Royal Canadian Air Force. From the start, he appeared destined for distinction. Intelligent, meticulous, and soft-spoken, he advanced steadily through the ranks. Colleagues described him as professional and composed. Subordinates respected him. Superiors trusted him. By the late 2000s, Williams had achieved what few ever would: command of CFB Trenton, the largest and most important Air Force base in Canada. This was not a symbolic post. Trenton was the operational heart of Canadian military air transport. It handled sensitive missions, disaster relief operations, and the transportation of high-profile dignitaries. The man in charge needed to be beyond reproach. Williams was exactly that. On the surface, he piloted VIPs. He attended formal dinners. He stood in crisp uniform at official ceremonies. His career was celebrated as exemplary. Newspapers ran respectful profiles. His name carried prestige within military circles. No scandal, no complaints, no visible cracks. To the outside world, Russell Williams was a picture of stability, a senior officer, a man of structure, a man of order. But order, as it turned out, was something he craved in far darker ways. Because while his professional life was polished and predictable, something else was growing quietly in the shadows. A secret, a double life that no colleague, no neighbor, and no friend would have imagined possible. And in the coming months, that hidden life would spill out of darkness into real homes, real bedrooms, and real terror. This was only the beginning. The uniform came off at the end of each day. The rank, the respect, the salutes, all left behind at the doorway of his private life. And that was when the other Russell Williams emerged. Not the commander, not the officer, but the man who moved silently through neighborhoods under cover of darkness. It began quietly, almost invisibly. Small towns in eastern Ontario. Quiet streets. Homes where families slept peacefully, believing themselves safe. No alarms. No reason to suspect that someone was watching, learning routines, memorizing windows, planning entry points. Around 2007, residents in these communities would later report strange, unexplained losses. A pair of underwear gone from a drawer, a bathing suit missing from a closet, shoes rearranged, items that seemed too personal, too intimate to simply vanish by accident. At the time, most brushed it off. Misplaced laundry, forgetfulness, nothing to call the police over, but a pattern was forming. Night after night, Russell Williams left his normal life behind. He drove through sleeping neighborhoods, parked carefully, approached houses he had likely observed before. He slipped inside with methodical precision, careful not to leave obvious traces. Inside, he moved through bedrooms. He opened drawers, closets, laundry baskets. He selected personal items, clothing that carried the private imprint of someone's life, and took them with him, back in his own space. He cataloged them, organized them, photographed them, documented them. A collection built slowly, piece by piece, victim by victim. Not random chaos, but structured, controlled, secret order. This was not impulsive behavior. It was ritual. And the most chilling part was how completely separate this world was from his public life. In daylight, he attended briefings and ceremonies. He gave instructions to Air Force personnel. He shook hands with officials. He lived in military housing among neighbors who trusted him implicitly. No one suspected that, only hours earlier, he had been inside a stranger's bedroom without permission. No one imagined that Canada's most senior Air Force Base commander was secretly violating the privacy of ordinary families. The break-ins continued. More towns, more houses, more stolen items. Still no connection drawn. No central suspect. No face to the intruder. Until, slowly, the urge that began with stealing would start to evolve. The control of entering homes unnoticed was no longer enough. The thrill was escalating. The fantasy was changing shape. And soon, the quiet intruder would cross a line from which there was no return. By 2009, the secret life Russell Williams had built was no longer contained by stolen objects and silent departures. The thrill of entering empty homes had begun to fade. The collection of personal belongings was no longer enough. Something inside him demanded more control, more risk, more power over living, breathing victims. And that demand would soon turn ordinary homes into scenes of terror. In September of that year, in the small rural communities near Tweed, Ontario, 2 women would experience nights that changed them forever. Quiet towns where doors were often left unlocked. Places where neighbors trusted one another. Where no one imagined danger hiding behind the image of a respected military officer. Late at night, Williams entered their homes. This time, the houses were not empty. The women were inside, asleep, vulnerable, unaware that a stranger had already crossed their threshold. What followed shattered any illusion that these were simple break-ins. The women were awakened, restrained, and controlled. Williams moved with rehearsed precision, using methods clearly planned in advance. He spoke calmly. He took photographs. He ensured the victims could not identify him. The invasions were deliberate, calculated, and terrifyingly controlled. When he left, he disappeared into the night once again, back to his uniform, his rank, his normal life. The victims were left behind with trauma that would linger long after physical wounds healed. Shock, disbelief, a haunting question that echoed in their minds. Who could have done this? Police began investigating the assaults, but early leads were scarce. The attacker left little evidence. No obvious motive. No clear suspect. Communities grew anxious. People locked doors, slept with lights on, looked out windows at night. Meanwhile, each morning, Russell Williams reported for duty at CFB Trenton. He attended meetings. He gave commands. He interacted with personnel who trusted him completely. No nervous behavior. No visible cracks. No hint of the violence he carried behind his eyes. The contrast was staggering. A man who, by day, safeguarded national operations and by night invaded homes and destroyed lives. But the escalation was not over, because the control he tasted that September would push him further still, toward a crime that would finally pull his double life into the light. By late 2009, the line between Russell Williams' 2 worlds had grown dangerously thin. The secret nightlife he lived was no longer separate from his day job. The next victim would come from the very institution that trusted him most. Her name was Corporal Marie-France Comeau. She was 38 years old, a dedicated member of the Royal Canadian Air Force, a colleague, a subordinate, someone who shared the same professional world as Williams, someone who, like many in the forces, believed deeply in service, discipline, and loyalty. She lived alone in her home near the base, quiet, independent, responsible. No reason to believe danger would ever find her there. But in November 2009, danger came anyway. Williams selected her deliberately. He knew her routines. He knew where she lived. He knew she would never suspect that her own commanding officer could be a threat. That trust, professional, institutional, unquestioned, became the doorway he exploited. Late one night, he entered her home. What followed was a violent invasion of her safety and dignity. In the hours that came next, Corporal Comeau's life was taken. A fellow Air Force member was gone, not lost in service overseas, not in an accident, but murdered in her own home by a man wearing the same uniform. When her absence was noticed, concern spread quickly through the base community. She was reliable. She didn't simply disappear. Fellow officers, friends, and family searched for answers. Then the discovery was made. Her death was confirmed. Shock rippled outward, through the military, through local police, through her loved ones who struggled to understand how such a thing could happen to someone so careful and disciplined. And all the while, Russell Williams stood among them. He attended meetings about the tragedy. He spoke solemnly. He played the role of a grieving commander. He expressed concern for his personnel. No trembling hands, no faltering voice, just calm professionalism. Then came a detail so chilling, it would later haunt investigators and the public alike. Williams sent a condolence letter to Corporal Comeau's family. Words of sympathy, words of respect, words meant to comfort a grieving family, written by the very man who had caused their grief. It was a moment that revealed just how deep the deception ran. Not only had he committed the crime, he had inserted himself into the mourning, into the healing, into the trust. But while the military community struggled to process the loss of one of their own, another woman was still alive, going about her life unaware that she was next. And soon, the final act of Williams' hidden life would unfold, a crime that would finally lead investigators straight to him. After the death of Corporal Marie-France Comeau, the military community mourned. Meetings were held, tributes were paid, questions floated quietly through hallways, but no one imagined the killer was standing among them in uniform, offering reassurance with steady hands. Life slowly moved forward again, until the morning of January 28, 2010, in the small city of Belleville, Ontario, Jessica Lloyd, 27 years old, did not arrive at work. She was reliable, friendly, and well-liked. When hours passed with no word from her, concern set in. Calls went unanswered. Her home was checked. Something felt wrong. Police arrived at her house and immediately sensed it. The scene suggested a struggle. Her car was still there, her belongings untouched. But Jessica was gone. Outside, investigators noticed something strange in the snow near her home. Distinctive tire tracks, deep and unusual. They photographed them carefully, preserved them. At the time, they didn't know those marks would become the thread that unraveled everything. News of Jessica's disappearance spread quickly. Family and friends plastered the city with posters. Volunteers searched fields and roadsides. The community held its breath, hoping for a miracle. Behind the scenes, police worked tirelessly. They analyzed the tire tracks, compared them to databases, looked for a match, and then, astonishingly, the tracks pointed toward a vehicle registered to a very unexpected name, Russell Williams. At first, it seemed impossible. A senior military commander, a respected officer, a man with no criminal history, no suspicious behavior, no known connection to Jessica Lloyd. But the evidence didn't lie. Investigators discreetly observed him. They followed his routines, noted his calm demeanor, not a hint of panic, not a crack in his composure. Then, on February 8, 2010, police brought him in for questioning. For 10 hours, they spoke with him. Carefully, methodically, piece by piece, they presented evidence. The tire tracks, the break-ins, the stolen items, the assaults, the murder of Corporal Comeau, and finally, the disappearance of Jessica Lloyd. Something shifted. The man who had hidden behind rank and reputation for years began to speak. He admitted what had happened. He spoke about the break-ins, the collections, the assaults, the control. He described how he moved through neighborhoods at night while entire families slept, how he selected homes, how he planned his entries, how long he had been doing it. He admitted to the murder of Corporal Marie-France Comeau. He admitted to abducting and killing Jessica Lloyd. The scale of it left seasoned investigators stunned. When news of his arrest became public, it hit Canada like a shockwave. Military personnel watched in disbelief as the face of their commander filled television screens, no longer in uniform, but in custody. Families who had once welcomed him into their homes struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the crimes he had confessed to. Communities that had trusted his presence felt suddenly violated, not only by his actions, but by the realization that evil had worn such a convincing mask. Search warrants followed. Police entered his home. What they found confirmed every fear. Hidden collections of stolen personal items, photographs documenting his crimes, evidence carefully stored, categorized, preserved, as if his victims were entries in a private archive of suffering. Each item represented a home he had entered, a life he had disturbed, a boundary he had crossed. The number of charges grew rapidly. Dozens, then more. By the time the case reached court in October 2010, Russell Williams faced 88 criminal charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, sexual assault, forcible confinement, and an extraordinary number of break-and-enter offenses. There was no dramatic courtroom denial, no claim of innocence. He pleaded guilty. Families of victims sat in silence as the full scope of his actions was read aloud. Crime after crime, date after date, location. Each detail a fresh wound. Each admission another layer of disbelief. For the relatives of Marie-France Comeau and Jessica Lloyd, the courtroom became a place of unbearable contradiction. Justice finally taking shape, while nothing could ever restore what had been taken. Outside, Canadians tried to understand how a man trusted with national security, with leadership, with young Air Force members under his command, could live such a double life without detection. Psychologists would later point to control, secrecy, obsession, and compartmentalization, the ability to separate identity into airtight sections. Officer, neighbor, predator, but explanations did not soften the truth. Russell Williams had chosen his path, and now, the final chapter of that path was approaching. The courtroom was silent when the sentence was delivered, after months of revelations, after confessions that exposed years of hidden crimes, after families listened to details they never wanted to hear. Russell Williams stood to receive judgment. The court sentenced him to life in prison, with no possibility of parole for at least 25 years. There was no dramatic outburst, no final statement of remorse that could undo anything, only the quiet finality of a door closing on a man who had once held immense power and prestige. But justice and law did not mean peace in life. For the family of Corporal Marie-France Comeau, there was the ache of betrayal, the knowledge that someone within the same uniform, the same command structure, had taken her life. A sister in service lost not to war, but to deception. For the family of Jessica Lloyd, there was grief sharpened by unanswered questions. The sudden disappearance, the frantic search, the devastating discovery. A life full of promise erased in a single night. For the survivors of the home invasions, there was a different kind of aftermath. Learning to sleep again, to trust again, to feel safe in a world that had once been secure. And for the Canadian military, there was institutional shock. The Royal Canadian Air Force stripped Williams of his rank, honors, and medals. His name was removed from official records. His uniforms were destroyed. His legacy erased from the organization he had once led, a symbolic cleansing, an attempt to reclaim trust. But the scar remained. Communities in eastern Ontario changed. Doors were locked more carefully, curtains drawn tighter at night. People looked twice at those they once assumed were safe. The case became a chilling reminder that danger does not always look dangerous. Psychologists later analyzed Williams' behavior. They spoke of compartmentalization, his ability to divide his life into sealed chambers, of control, his need to orchestrate every detail, of secrecy, the fuel that fed his hidden world. But no analysis could fully answer the question that lingered in the minds of many. How can someone live 2 completely opposite lives without anyone noticing? In prison, Russell Williams remains. A man who once commanded one of Canada's most important military bases now spends his days behind locked doors, stripped of title, power, and identity. A stark contrast to the polished officer who once smiled for cameras and saluted superiors. Yet even with the case officially closed, unease lingers. Could there have been warning signs? Could someone have seen behind the mask? How many ordinary lives were touched quietly by his secret world? People who never even knew they were victims. These are the questions that remain, not just about Russell Williams, but about the frightening complexity of human nature. Because sometimes, the most terrifying monsters do not hide in the dark. Sometimes they stand in the light, trusted, respected, and invisible in plain sight. If this story shocked you, don't stay silent. Hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss a case that exposes the darkest corners of human nature.